Hello, everybody. This is something we promised you 2 weeks ago, and there was a lot of interest in it, but it took us nearly 2 weeks to crunch all the numbers behind us. So basically, net. Let's see if the volume is working. Yes, it is. Yay, everything's working good. So net, the question we have for you all is the Metaverse the biggest cash grab of all time, or is it worth investing in? That is the question. And we've multiple models that we used. We built a bunch of new models and a bunch of new ratios to really quantify the value behind the Metaverse. Remember, all we do in this channel is numbers and quant. And remember also, we are benchmarking the MVPs, which stands for Metaverse Profiler, against the Metaverse players to find the best, most valuable MVP out there. And we'll also be able to repurpose this model and keep it updated for future tokens or changes to the assets that are in the space. So thank you all for being here. Channel's about math, money, and freedom, and this is not financial advice. So even if we have a conclusion at the end to buy something, don't touch it without doing your own research. Thank you very much. So today's story is about the MVP, which stands for Metaverse Profiler. And we look at a bunch of different names, and we'll go through them all. Now, MVP also stands for Most Valuable Player. But what we're asking ourselves, and what I asked myself all last year, was, is this space worth investing in? And if so, where would I invest? And as it turns out, from all the names we're going to cover today, I never invested in any. But let's talk about why and see if they're worth investing in now. So the question, the challenge we posed ourselves is it possible to value the Metaverse players? If so, are they investable? If so, where? And finally, over what timeframes? Are they short-term speculative plays or long-term holds? So let's go and wait till the end of the show to see what happens. It'll be quick, but there will be a ton of numbers. So first of all, the IA MVP economic valuation components. If you look at the Metaverse, it's made up of 4 economic components. And Dr. Watson was very good to work on this with me, and we spent a lot of time crunching numbers. So the 4 economic components are the virtual world, the NFTs produced in the virtual world and other assets, the marketplace, which is both internal and external, and the infrastructure that the virtual world is built on. So from an investment perspective, does it make sense? Can you value it? And the answer is yes, you can. We also looked at a ton of data as well out there from places like DappRadar, DeFi Llama, individual marketplaces such as OpenSea, LooksRare, NBA Top Shots, MagicEden, Solana Art, AtomicMarket Wax, Rariable, you name it, all these different players to pull all this information in, as well as all the usual suspects we go to. So, model for valuing the Metaverse. The core value allows participants to interact and, more importantly, create and exchange economic value. Hence, the value of the virtual world can be derived from adding up all of the economic value created. And that was our angle. And since most metaverses have their own marketplace, where the real money is exchanged for NFTs, it is possible to evaluate this marketplace and get a sense of the value for the players in the metaverse. So that's what we did. Now, one of the key metrics we use as well is what's called GMV. This is the gross marketplace volume. And in the traditional world, GMV is used, for example, in retail. It's the total monetary sales value. Gross marketplace volume is a metric used to measure the total monetary value for merchandise sold through a particular marketplace. And this tells you how valuable the marketplace is. And to value the Metaverse, it's what we use, one of the many components, as well as a whole bunch more. So let's jump in now. You're going to see a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of numbers, but I'll explain them all in great detail as to how we use them. So first of all, this is the MVP. So the names that we chose to analyze are names like Decentraland, The Sandbox, Axie Infinity, Ultra, Illuvium, YieldGill Games, Division Network, PiDAO. I love the ticker for PiDAO, it's DOE. Metaverse Index, Somnium Space, Rangers Protocol, and Alien Worlds. These are all the top players. And if you add up all the value of all these players, they make up 99.9% of the whole Metaverse and marketplaces. Now, the first statistic on the right I want to draw your eye attention to is the percentage change versus ETH over the last 90 days. This shows you how these assets actually compare to Ethereum. So Ethereum is also down 36% over the last 90 days. So when you look at this change compared to that already weak performance, you will see a big whacking that this space has had. So the first one, Decentraland, has held up pretty well, only down 4.71%. If you look at Ultra, which UOS is the ticker, that's actually up against Ethereum. It did not bleed against Ethereum like the rest of the market. The other thing you'll know as well, looking at this, the other metric we used is percentage of all-time high. You can see the average is extremely high. It's in the order of 60% plus. I think it's 66% from the all-time highs. And the only one that kind of held up the best, again, is Alien Worlds, only down 30%. And second best was Ultra, down 45% from the all-time high. So pretty staggering. But probably the most important thing is to look at is the Sharpe ratio on the right-hand side. Now, typically, when I look at a stock or even a crypto, I want the Sharpe ratio to be above 1. You'll note here that most of them are all negative, and the only ones that are higher than -1 is Ultra and Somnium Space. The rest are really not doing very well at all. So that is a set of very scary statistics out of the gate. So we start with the bad news first, but it might get better. Hold on tight. So next one, this is the crypto compendium score. You guys heard about this last year. We put it together to look at about 400 different data points to analyze tokenomics, inflation, centralization, insider pocket lining, how much they allocate to themselves, etc., etc. And it has been the most incredible BS detector for crypto, and it's worked really well. If you guys want us to compare the top 100 or top 300 cryptos and their performance since we launched this model to today to see if it works, that would be an interesting video, and I think we're going to do that. But in short summary, again, this pulls a ton of data and summarizes it and gives it a compendium score. You will notice here that all of the compendium scores, the highest ones are 4.4 for both Decentraland and Axie. Now remember, the highest typical score is 10 and the lowest is 1, but the score on average here is extremely bad. The average compendium score across all of these Metaverse plays is 3.5. Now remember, we do not look at anything under 5, so nothing here will qualify from our perspective as investment worthy. But hold on, there's more coming later. And there's other factors that it takes into account as well. But anyway, that is the compendium score. And we build that in to our composite score towards the end. But there's more. So look at inflation. The average inflation rate across all of these players is 109%. That makes your fiat currency actually look really good. So I shouldn't be joking about that, but really, these rates are awful. Cast your eye on Illuvium. 500% inflation. Again, the average is 109, and Sand and Mana are okay. I think the rates are Sandbox about 22%, Mana 27%. They are acceptable, just under the 30% threshold, as long as they have the requisite growth of 80% year over year. So again, inflation all across the board is really bad, with the exception of 2 players. So let's look at our Metaverse Profiler score. Now this is an eye chart, so bear with us here. I hope you're not driving the car trying to look at this. But it has all of our custom Metaverse ratios, and we pulled in the market cap, the FD market cap, the number of marketplace participants, the marketplace within the MV. We looked at data from, again, all the players I mentioned before, OpenSea, Rariable, etc. We have a fully diluted GMV ratio as well. We have the market cap over GMV ratio. We have the market cap per user and our crypto compendium score all put together. Now you can see as we look at these scores here and you go down the list, there's some pretty bad ratios. But from iShot, there's a lot of green, and that all falls under Axie Infinity. So Axie actually bears up pretty good, and it crushes the other competitors that are out there. Now, if you look at the market cap over GMV ratio, Axie and Somnium win the day. Now, from a market cap per user, Alien Worlds crushes the competition, with DeFi Kingdom second and Axie third. And from our crypto compendium, again, the best are Axie and Mana. So looking at all of these different types of metrics, you can see which ones are good, which ones are not good. And again, we use the same type of metrics to value equities as well. Like if you're valuing things like Facebook, etc., same type of concept as you go forward. So the next thing is what we did was we broke out whether or not it's possible to make money over a short-term perspective or a long-term perspective. So if you have something like Illuvium with 500% inflation, that's not something you want to hold long-term. It's like cash in your pocket. You don't want to hold cash for more than 3 months because it's melting away at, say, 4% every 3 months. So that's a big hit. So let's look at this list very carefully. And remember, this is benchmarked against other metaverse names on this list, not against other names like Ethereum or Solana or Bitcoin or anything like that. This is just how they rank against each other. So first of all, we broke out the short-term versus long-term as it'll deal with things like inflation. Second, if you have to speculate short-term, we believe the most value would be in things like Axie, number 1, Alien Worlds, number 2, and DeFi Kingdom, number 3. Remember, there's an important thing to zone in on here. And I'll zoom out for a second. If you look at DeFi Kingdom, it's built on Harmony. So it has a complete lack of marketplaces. So assets that you buy may not be as liquid. Similar for Alien World, which runs off of Wax, though the marketplace is nowhere near as large as Ethereum or Sol. And note, Ethereum crushes it from a marketplace perspective as we go forward. So again, Axie wins the day here in terms of this score, and Alien World second, DeFi Kingdom third. But let's switch gears and imagine if we look to a longer term perspective, and you want to hold this something for 6 to 12 months. Is the result different? So we could talk for a long detail about how the long-term investor score works, but the point is, simply put, those with better tokenomics, those with better compendium scores, do better over the long term, but are still bad scores. Now here, Axie still wins the day, but DeFi Kingdom is now second, and Alien Worlds is now third. So that's the big takeaway. It does make a difference when you look at time series investing as you go forward. Let's talk about the conclusions now real quick. First of all, we benchmarked against crypto. If you benchmark against crypto, Metaverse projects have poor tokenomics, really poor compendium scores, extremely high valuations, and very high token inflation. So bad. Not good. Cash grab, potentially, but let's look at something else. If the market cap of the project is less than $30 million, don't touch it because it doesn't have the critical mass to compete or win or compete against some of the other players. So we figured that out as well from our studies. Do not buy anything with less than $30 million market cap because the risk is extreme. Third, Metaverse is top heavy. The top three projects account for over 95% of the marketplace volume and user base. So basically, I always talk about black holes taking it all. Similar here in the Metaverse. And when evaluating a project, it needs to represent at least $20 million of GMV to be considered investable. If it doesn't, stick with the winners. Do not risk on some of these up and coming players until they mature to fledglings, like little birds that can fly from the nest. Fourth, I think at this stage, this is important as well. For those who want to play the Metaverse, there are safer ways that have better returns so far. Yes, if you got into the Metaverse early at pennies, you did very well. But if you look at the infrastructure plays that run the Metaverse, you have Ethereum, you have Flow, you have Solana, you have Wax. And if you add up all the GMV across these assets, Ethereum crushes everybody. But MagicEden and Solana Art is the number 2 on the Solana infrastructure ecosystem. And they're coming up fast and growing very fast. So again, that is another way to play this whole space. That's it, everybody. Hope you like it. If you want us to go into more detail, let us know. There is a ton of work behind these simple numbers, but the net point takeaway is there's safer places to park your money. And I hope this doesn't disappoint anybody out there in the Metaverse or anywhere else. So a big thank you, everybody, for your time today. Hope you like the content. Smash like and subscribe if you can. Bye. Thanks.